Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. Man, that light is really bright. Let's bring that back down. Ah, that looks so much better. Oh, and we need the music. We need the music. Wait, where is the music? That's weird. Hold on a second. I can't find it on the list. Ooh, okay. Late again. Yeah. Well, I was only going to be like 5 minutes late. And I had problems getting things set up. I was like, "Oh, wait. I forgot to set the live stream to go." So, yeah. So, what did I miss with the weekly jobs numbers, huh? Oh, and we had GDP too. All right. Well, U.S. initial jobless claims 236 versus 243. Better than expected. Okay, that's good. U.S. GDP quarter over quarter final. They were expecting negative spot 2. They got negative spot 5. Really? Interesting. Durable goods 16.4 versus 8.5. That's not good. That means stuff's not selling, right? Continuing jobless claims went up 1.974 versus 1.95. That's actually quite a big jump from the 1.945. Core durable goods 0.5 versus 0. Core PCE prices final 3.5 versus 3.4, slightly higher than expected. Okay, so a bunch of numbers there. Kind of looks like that the Treasuries initially decided to sell on that because there are a couple of numbers in there that do seem hawkish. But I kind of think that the GDP being bad and everything else kind of suggests interest rate cuts. So, do you think we can make it to 112? It's been super crazy to have been talking about 111 and 110 for such a long time, because I remember times in the 10-year Treasury where we would move a whole handle almost every day. So, as we come down in price, there's kind of less outright volatility in terms of ticks. So, well, I also have a pretty good flow coming through. I do wonder, oh, well, we should come and look at the charts. We haven't looked at the charts, have we? Okay. So, the Treasuries have been on a tear, really. I mean, that's been a pretty good trend that we've been having on the upside. I am a little concerned if we start getting into the 113-ish area. There might be some resistance there. Let's come back out to this, right? Like, from where we were a year ago. So, but I think we got a long ways to go before, they're going to moderate a little bit here. They are, oh no, now that's interesting. We are busting the ATR stop, which means that we would be based on the ATR stop in an uptrend, but this is a place where a lot of mean reversion often tends to come in. So can you see right here when we broke it? right here, and then what happens? Oh, well, let's go sideways. A lot of mean reversion strategies get triggered off of these ATR stops. So, something interesting to watch might be a little iffy here. S&P 500. Oh, that's looking good overnight, but yesterday was just kind of so-so. Oil. Okay, oil just kind of actually getting really tight. I'm surprised that it was so tight yesterday. Gold kind of clawing back. Silver, ooh, looking another pop in silver. Copper, ooh, big pop in copper. Copper, that looks so good. Oh my. Japanese yen. Okay, it's getting a little more interesting in the Japanese yen. The dollar moving down. Like really, really moving down. Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin did come back from the brink. Still kind of looking a little bit. Okay. Okay, so I you know what, man? I always feel like every time that I come in and I start to think about taking a trade, I talk myself out of it. So this looks like a good uptrend. We've had a positive kind of skew to the order flow all day, basically, like through the whole overnight session. And I do believe that the news kind of suggests longs, but we are already bumping up against that stop out zone. So this is not a good place for an entry for me. Which is a little disappointing, I guess. But let's recenter and see if they surprise me and go further. Continuing jobless claims the highest since November of 2021. Delayed Doge effects finally kicking in? Oh man, I looked away at something and they came back quick. Ugh. Like I was sitting there thinking, well, okay, this is where the hero trade would start to come in. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. It'll probably sputter out. Maybe we can have some fun on watching it come back. Then I went and read an email. Come back, it's already at 26. Missed it. Was I reading that for that long? So I did not have a good night's rest, so might be a little behind here, to be honest with you. I feel like the whole last 3 months-ish, I just haven't been my best trader self, you know? There is some interesting movement still going on in the dollar. So that might be a key driver. Briggs, welcome. You've been here like almost every day past 2 weeks. I appreciate it. Doesn't say much, but he always says hi. I love it. That, you know what? I haven't seen, when I come and I look at this chart. It's like the serpent. It's like it's rearing its head and it wants to go boom, boom, bam. I don't know if that's what's actually going to happen. But I haven't seen it snake like that in a while. Usually it's like, zip. You know, like. I guess that means that it's less likely to make a new high here, but I don't know. Ignore patterns, predict order flows. Recognize patterns in order flow? I really think that when we're trying to like do the pattern matching as humans, you're putting yourself at a distinct disadvantage. There's definitely some things with machine learning. I actually saw a thing last night where a guy was looking at order flow and particularly order flow imbalance. And, ooh, which by the way reminds me, or not have the algorithm going. Turn that on. Okay. And it was combining it with a Markov model. You know, it's like this machine learning stuff is pretty crazy, and I'm really kind of makes me wonder if any kind of market pattern is really like not worth pursuing unless you've got machine learning tools on it. But it's just, I think the thing is that a trade that is premised entirely on order flow is kind of a sketchy trade. I'm not going to say that it never works, because I certainly do take them and they work out sometimes, but they're not my best trades. We really want to know the flow that's coming in, and we want to have confluence with what we're seeing on the DOM, that what we're seeing in the order flow confirms that this order flow we're expecting is happening. They sure are chomping at the bit there for a new high, aren't they? Like, there's a lot of level 2 changes in here. Morning, Amir. I know that you understand that, Andre, but like, new person might not, right? Just gotta be careful. I don't want a new person to come in, hear something that I say, and not understand the context of that and take it way too far and then waste years of their life going down this rabbit hole that ultimately doesn't help them. Oh, you're more making up. Yeah, I get you. Oh, the JSDOM. I was like, what are you talking about? The KSDOM. What's that? Okay, they did take a new high just barely, but you know what? It was 1,000 contracts, so Focus on one market, ideally. You know, I've been thinking about that a lot lately, actually. Because, like, the thing is if I want to come in and I want to day trade, and I'm going to predict order flows, it really, really helps to understand your instrument. It really does. But you're placing such a huge limitation on yourself. There's a lot of power in being able to identify the thing that actually has something going on and just getting involved in that. But so there's kind of a little bit of a conundrum there, and I kind of think that the answer is that the real issue is not whether you're focusing on one instrument or not. The real limitation, the thing that makes this hard, is the limitation on the time frame. Like, if I can only come in and take a position and hold it for an hour or two and then I gotta go, that makes it super hard. Whereas when you can swing, and you can swing multiple positions at the same time, so much more freedom in that, so much more opportunity in that. ZB is, yeah, you're right. So that is kind of curious, isn't it? That, well, the yield curve has steepened teensy bit, but on that move, it was the 30-year that led the way. So maybe it is the case that they're so close to 112 even that they're just going to push for it one way or another. They definitely got through a lot of volume there. That right there is a little bit curious. There's a lot of volume stacking up at 30, and the bid at 29.5 isn't backing down at all, but they're not crossing the line. So that kind of reeks of a lot of people wanting to get in and being late. When I come in, I look at our cost basis, right? Okay, so when we hit it the first time, we did what we normally do and we come back. This time, though, they just absolutely blew through it. So we're in unusual action. You know, I do wonder, one other thing that maybe we have to consider is, are we seeing short covering here today? Because there's definitely, like, I feel like there was so many people that were short, and even when we were having the, well, so where was it? I honestly can't remember anymore what prompted the jump at the beginning of May. What was the showdown? Was it the whole trade deal craziness? I don't remember anymore. But after that happened, yes, it was the trade war thing. It was the trade war thing because this move down was like when we were like, what the heck is going on? And like somebody big sold, and we still don't know who it is, and we still not going to know for a few weeks. This month we'll know. But that was that. And that was the point at which so many of these people online, social media came in and were like, super bearish treasuries. Now we're getting back to some of those zones. There's got to be some short covering in this. Certainly there's got to be some of those retail traders are puking it. I do still see a couple of reasons for this to moderate, though. I'm kind of thinking we're going to build a little bit of a liquidity hole. We'll get a pop to 112 and then return back to that hole. Wow, ICE has arrested 130 Iranian nationals across the U.S. in the last 7 days amid security concerns. Wow. ZT hit the ATR stop to the tick. Are you talking about like on a like I don't know what you mean. That ATR stop. This ATR stop? Or you put it on the daily chart. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that might be significant then. Yeah, because you know, maybe they needed to touch it before the mean reversion flows came in. You know, that's wild, and I didn't take it. I don't know how I feel about this one. The way that came back there, I don't know. It actually doesn't make sense because there wasn't that much volume selling on it. My algo did get some buys. It should have been out here. It probably would have been long somewhere in the 28.5 area. Wait, what the heck? Is this for real? In 2022, McKinsey was paid $55 million to advise Warner Brothers to combine with Discovery. Probably a good combination. I thought that it would be at least, but then I kind of haven't really seen anything come out of Discovery. From 22 to 2025, McKinsey charged Warner Brothers Discovery $37 million by advising the company to change HBO to HBO Max and then to Max and then back to HBO Max. In 2025, McKinsey billed Warner Brothers Discovery an additional $63 million to determine that Warner Brothers and Discovery should be separate brands again. Jeez. Up is my line in the sand. We're in summer FOMO rug pull regime. I don't know, man. There's something a little weird with this flow, to be honest with you. It was a little bit more aggressive than you would normally see. But the pullbacks are also much more aggressive than you would normally see. Or to be more precise about it, A push this aggressive through that line is unusual. Once we get to that spot, it's like we're in a trend day. This looks like a trend day. And you get this candle right here. Came back so hard. There was no change in cumulative delta with that, by the way. Just got sucked back down. So this is kind of a dangerous beast now. It could very easily come all the way back to the 26, probably. Pretty easily. Or push up to 112. And it might not take much volume. It might not take any volume. It might just be a correlation. There was a move in the dollar kind of when that drop happened. There's, you know what? I shouldn't. I sometimes I will see stuff on Reddit and I'm like, let's make a comment. Somebody needs to know about this. But then I'm like, who cares? Nobody wants to hear about it. Why would I post it? If the big beautiful bill passes, will TLT falter? No. You'll probably see some selling flows that day. And then probably everyone forgets about it. The Treasury market is absolutely affected by the fiscal situation with the United States and everything. But it tends to be more like, you know, people placing bets on it. And it doesn't seem to be a long-term concern. So they'll do their thing. And then they'll probably forget about it. That's me 98% of the time, even if I really want to comment. Almost never will on anything ever. Jeez, yeah. So, one of the things that's going on, it's like I don't want to comment on it. Probably shouldn't mention it on my stream too, then, if I don't want to comment on it. But I'll mention it to you as an example. Nobody's going to care. But there's currently a big thing going on in the dance music community, where a portion of the dance music community is trying to expel anybody that's Republican, essentially. And It's getting some pretty wild stuff going back and forth. So now there's like a MAGA Ravers TikTok account and all this sort of stuff. And oh man, I've seen some people say that they like report it. They sit and they report that account all day. Are you kidding me? What is wrong with people? You're something wrong with your life if you're sitting there and reporting this one account all day like that. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. So there's a lot of commentary going on about it. And I've always kind of felt like, look, I think it's totally okay to stand on principles for sure. Right. And you know, if an artist wants to talk about a particular issue that they feel passionate about, that's okay. It might be ill-advised, but that's okay. It's when we start to get into the tribal politics stuff that I think you really, really go awry, right? When you say anybody that voted for this person is, you know, terrible, we don't want them here. I don't sit down and I'm like, yeah, I don't want any Democrats on my stream. I don't know if many Democrats would super enjoy the stream, but reminds me of that Fox. Oh yeah. Actually, I heard about that, but I didn't know why. So the Fox Girl situation is there's this social media influencer that like raised foxes, and then I don't know why, but she was getting harassed online for something, and she offed herself. Like it happened real quick too. I think there was someone else. There was another instance of this happening recently too. And as soon as oh man. Well, so one of the things that's going on is like I forget what they call them, but there will be like subreddits basically dedicated to harassing an individual influencer. And there was one of these where and maybe it was the Fox Girl, where a particular influencer unalived themselves, and like Reddit immediately deleted that subreddit. It was like, geez. So there's just all sorts of, you know, like, I think maybe some of us thought that the cancel culture was kind of dying down. Well, it does seem to, I don't see as much of let's go cancel this celebrity, etc., etc. But the reality is their harassment is totally still there. They haven't done a thing about it. I don't think I ever seen her content though. Michaela Rains, the founder of Fairmount-based animal rescue Save a Fox, has died by suicide, according to her husband, Ethan Frankamp. Rains, aged 30, founded Save a Fox in 2017 with the mission of saving domesticated foxes from fur farms, and amassed millions of online followers through videos highlighting her work and the many furry fans that came through her rescue. One particular fox, Finnegan, became a minor internet celebrity in his own right. I've definitely seen Finnegan, yes. In a video statement, Frankamp credited Rains with saving hundreds of animals over the years. He also called Rains a selfless advocate and a wonderful wife and caring mother. From a young age, she dedicated every waking hour of her life to helping them, whether it was helping a snapping turtle cross the road or saving 500 foxes from a terrible fur farm. Frank Camp said she was never in it for fame, money, or personal gain. She was truly one of the most selfless people I've ever known. She put the animals' well-being over her own time and time again. Frank Camp said Rains dealt with mental health struggles, which were made worse by cyberbullying by people she knew. And it breaks my heart that someone who is selfless and devoted her life to animals could have so much negativity pointed at her. Why? That's all I can ask is why, in a world that's filled with darkness, she was just like Frank Camp said. Rains was on the autism spectrum, something Frank Camp said was a mixed blessing. And she was so sensitive to everything, which is a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, it allowed her endless empathy for those in her care, but it also means that she took everything negative to heart, Frank Camp said. Rain's husband urged people to think twice before posting negative comments online and to be aware of signs of depression in their loved ones. If you only have negative garbage to say, just shut up. And if you are feeling lost and hopeless, please reach out to someone, whether it's friends and family or calling a hotline. And to everyone else, please keep an eye on those around you. Here's a list of suicide prevention and mental health resources. Let me go through. Okay, so she was autistic and people bullied her. That's messed up. And that is one of the things that I see is like, guys, you've got to understand. You've got, like, the world has not figured this out yet, but I'm telling you, it's a thing. Okay. The people that you are interacting with online are significantly more likely to be autistic. Autistic person really, this is like the only thing that really gives them gets the synapses firing in their minds and really captures their mind. It's like the only thing that they can focus on. And so these, and on the internet, when you really have a really deep knowledge of a particular subject, that kind of puts you in the spotlight. So when you're talking to people online, people that are engaging are more likely to be autistic. And especially when you're in a niche interest, they're more likely to be autistic. So you've really got to be careful about what you say. And I think part of it is that autistic people can have difficulty controlling their emotions, and they will lash out and they will say things. They're mean. They can be mean online, and then you go and you fight with them. It's bad. You've got to be like, pick your fights. That's something that I didn't realize early on. Because, yeah, like, it's fun to fight on the internet and everything, but you have to pick your fights. Like, you really have to ask yourself, is the world really served by battling over this thing? Be a genius. Oh, it's Ali. How are you? Yeah. Is everything all right with your job and everything? So, I've been working hard at the job. The contract ends in mid-July, and they gave me a full-time offer, but I turned them down because what they were asking was kind of a joke. I don't know if I should like say that out loud, but I mean, you guys don't know who it is, so I guess I can say that. But it was like 40% below market price for the role. And I'm like, I'm doing site reliability engineering for them. I'm the only site reliability engineer. And we're building some stuff from scratch. So like, it's really a lot of responsibility, actually. And you know, in some respects, because they don't have as much live services going yet, so I'm not dealing with fires as much as I was at my past jobs, perhaps. But the amount of responsibility that I have is actually more, because I'm basically the only guy for like 5 different applications, right? And yeah, they initially offered me like 30% below. So I don't know if that means that that's just what they tend to do, and it's like the whole negotiating thing. Because the HR guy was like, yeah, I kind of expected that, and okay, how about this? Let's see what we can do there, right? If they come back and lowball me again, so I'm really gonna be like, okay, like maybe these people don't have the money to do the things that they actually want to do, you know? So I'm super, super nervous about the job. It's kind of funny because so I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, wait, is this like the correct way to deal with this sort of like, I've never had a negotiation quite like this. It's always been really, really straightforward. Like, this is what I want, and what I want is in line with the market, and they have no problem giving it to me. I've never had a situation where it was like somebody really, really wanted to pay me significantly below what market was. Never had that happen. So I asked ChatGPT about it, and ChatGPT is super aggressive. This is like, this is unacceptable. Like, you shouldn't accept that. Here's all the things you should do. I was like, well, okay. It's a little extreme, but okay. So yeah, that's where we're at. Now, with that said, Ali, I do have a video coming. I have a video. I wish I could pull it over here and show you the device again, but we've got a KVM switch that I'm reviewing. It's super, super nice. It solves all the problems that I had with my KVM switches before. It has some, they're like building all of the features into these things now. So like they're very, very close to having like the holy grail KVM switch, where you can have computer 1 on screen 1, computer 2 on screen 2, and you don't even have to push a button to switch between the two of them. You just move your mouse onto the other screen. Crazy. That's some of the stuff that they're doing. My unit doesn't have that, but like it's in development apparently. But it does have some other things that make it really, really easy. So yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, I'll make that video. I don't know if I really need help editing that one though, Ellie. I appreciate you checking in, but I think it's going to be a really long time before I can pay for video editing again, unfortunately. What's Susie say here? I dug a little into the background of what was going on with her, and from my experience, the animal rescue world is full of terrible people, like people who hate each other. Yeah, I have a neighbor who run ones, and he told me some horror stories. Lots of envy, jealousy, and malice. And Seva Fox is really big. What do you mean by really big? Like she's, like, overweight? Oh, a lot of money. Yeah. I think it, oh, okay. Well, like again, so here's something we've talked about this before, but just to, or those of you weren't here for this conversation, autism exhibits itself differently in men and women. And autism, because autism is really a dysfunction with kind of the social parts of our brain. And one of the big factors with the social parts of our brain is sex character, like sex behavior. Or, you know, like men tend to be more interested in things and women tend to be more interested in people, right? And so in autistic people, you will tend to see that exhibited in some way. So there is one thing is that transgender people are significantly more likely to be autistic. Okay, so there's that side of it. But you know, men, they will get super hyper interested in some particular thing, like computers, right? Women, the top 3 hyper focuses for autistic women are makeup, celebrities, and animals. So if you find that girl, she is super, super sweet, and she really, really loves animals, very high probability that she is autistic. Very high. So yes, there's probably a lot of autistic people in the animal world. And this is one of these things that like really, really starts to drive me crazy. So if you get on autistic TikTok, right? So I'm on autistic TikTok because my son is autistic and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it, right? Which is a whole thing in and of itself. Because there's like the adult autistic people, it's like ones that are pretty high functioning, so it's like a different thing anyways. But then when you get onto autistic child TikTok, some of it is really, really useful information and some of it is trash. Like, oh, well, we did this treatment or we did this, and they're all trying to sell you on some stupid treatment. I hate it. I hate it so much. Okay. But one of the things that you're going to see if you get on autistic TikTok is they will say, well, autism is not actually a deficiency. It's just a different way of thinking that does not as advantageous because of the way that our society has been built. Basically, they think that because neurotypical people are in charge, they have set up all of the systems and everything to advantage neurotypical people. And if autistic people were in charge, then they would set society up in a way that was advantageous to autistic people, and autistic people would thrive in that world, and neurodivergent people would not. This is absolute nonsense, but that's what they think. Okay. The reality is that autistic people have certain deficiencies with the parts of the brain that are kind of involved in intuition and particularly interpreting things in social interactions, right? So they're just not good with social stuff, right? You talk about autistic people like they're creatures from fairy tale lore. Well, sorry, but there are certain traits and behaviors that you're just gonna see, and it's really, really strong. And the whole thing, the reason why I talk about it in this way is that once you understand what it is and you can see it, you're gonna see it everywhere, and you will understand how to better interact and help these individuals. You can really, really make a huge difference in their life if you understand these things. Okay. But I let me just tell you, you get a bunch of autistic people together, you would think, oh, okay, they can interact, they'll all be friends and everything will be hunky-dory. Well, they will be friends and you know, they can get a lot out of it, but there also tends to be lots of drama. There tends to be lots of drama. Because they're all terrible with the social interactions. If I had $1 for every asshole who explains away being an asshole with being autistic, well, but a lot of assholes are autistic. Like that's the whole. That's the symptom, man. Is that their brain just can't So there's a couple of different sides. Like it's interesting that it harms them in multiple ways within social interactions, right? Because part of it is they are not very good at reading your tone of voice and your facial expressions and so on and so forth to understand how you feel about something, right? Like if you're upset about something, they're not going to realize it, etc., etc. So they're going to completely misinterpret what your state of mind is. Autistic people have a very difficult time with what we call theory of mind, which is constructing a model in your head of what other people are thinking and feeling. Okay? So they have trouble with it there. Okay? But then another thing that those executive functioning and social parts of your brain do is regulate your emotions. So when a situation does arise, or they feel passionate about something, or they're irritated by something, they have a very, very difficult time suppressing that. Like it's gonna come out and they're gonna act out. And that's just kind of how it goes. You know that the only way to help them is to talk sweetly to them. Yeah, so like I think one of the things is that if you come across an autistic person, okay, and you get into it with them and they're rude to you, okay, it probably doesn't necessarily really matter to you too much. You're not going to interact with that person, and you're just going to go and talk to other people. You're going to do other stuff, right? It's a little bit different of a thing when that autistic person is dependent on you for, you know, everything, and you have to help and support them every day, right? So normally, when somebody is misbehaving, what do? Like your natural inclination is to get upset about it, to be mean back, to get angry about it, to punish them, so that they learn that behavior is bad and they don't do it again, right? Doesn't work with an autistic person, man. It doesn't work. Their brain is just like literally incapable of taking that stuff and like encoding it and remembering, okay, and when I'm in this situation, I need to act this way, and it doesn't, unless it's something like super, super traumatic. It's only like when it becomes super, super traumatic that it really like solidifies in their brain. So you're just being really angry with them for nothing. Doesn't accomplish anything. With my autistic son, getting really upset with him, can just make it worse. Like that's like if I'm yelling at him, that gets his attention, that gets the chemicals going. It will actually cause him to act out more. So I really have to save, like it used to be like, I can't get him to pay attention at all unless I really yell. And part of it is he got older, so he's a little bit better. But I kind of, eventually I decided that, like, you know what, like that kind of worked a little bit, but in the end it was doing more harm than good. So now it is, you just have to meet them where they're at. And there's not really a whole lot you can do, because, you know, it's just the way that their brain works, you know? That's why everyone on the internet claims the autism mantle, because most people on the internet are assholes. Okay, so what are you proposing that we do? Because I think that what you're saying is, well, okay, we should just ignore when somebody says that they're autistic and just not put up with their assholery. But, well, first of all, it's on the internet, so how do you do that? Unless you can, like, ban them from the internet or something like that. But then, second of all, if they're really autistic, that's not going to do anything. But here's the thing. Once you realize that the person you're talking to is autistic, oh my gosh, just opens up. Because they can be, how do I say this? I don't want people to come out of this being like, oh, autistic people are easy to manipulate. But, I mean, they are, but I'm not saying to manipulate them. But I'm saying that once you understand how an autistic mind works and you realize that you're dealing with an autistic person, you can, especially these high-functioning autistic people, you know the right strategies and they will just absolutely love you. Because you're like the only person in their life outside of their family that is actually giving them something. I just don't care whether they're not. Well, if you just want to argue with people, then argue with people, I guess. But I'm telling you, if you understand this, it's a powerful thing. You could, if you're not a nice person, you can absolutely use it to manipulate people. Autistic people are easier to manipulate. That's why autistic people have a tendency to become political zealots. It's because all of that political manipulation that we're subjected to every day, and we all go like, well, we all know that that's bullshit. The autistic people fall for it, right? But it's not manipulation if what you're doing is in their best interest, right? So, once you know how their nervous system works and how to meet them and how to kind of leave your societal expectations aside and just meet them where they're at, you can really, really make a big difference in those people's life. Looks like the Treasury wants to go and tag that 112, man. But to the thing that got this started, she was autistic. Next time you're thinking about harassing somebody on the internet, please consider maybe this person does not have the same nervous system and abilities and understanding that I do. And maybe isn't capable of handling the kind of harassment that you're about to dish out to them. Okay. You think, well, you know, be a man, you can handle this. It's just the internet. Some people can't do that, man. You got to be more cautious than that. I think the last thing that you want to do is like you were a part of a harassment campaign and you were really doing everything, and then they off themselves, right? Like, you don't want to deal with that. There sure is a lot of liquidity out here today. Why did I not realize this before? Was it this hot earlier? Huh. Very interesting. So this has kind of solidified up as we've gotten close to it. But most of these big ones down here have been here the whole time. It's also interesting that like almost all of the bubbles are blue. Too bad for you. Most of the people who lead and participate in those campaigns are also fucking autistic. Well, wait, are we talking about political campaigns? This is something that I always find really messed up, okay, in politics. Is like if you work on a campaign, you know, and maybe you don't have to deal with these things as much when you're like a really high level campaign, okay, but you're doing like you know, state legislature or city positions, right? There's gonna be one person. There's gonna be one person that you deal with that's like a really big supporter and everything, but you know is not all there. You're definitely gonna see it. And I remember seeing a lot of, you know, like a lot of the people that are like campaign managers and staff and politicians. A lot of people that are maybe kind of psychopaths. You know what I mean? There's definitely the psychopaths are drawn to the power man, and they absolutely get into politics. And I'm not even going to say that all of them are psychopaths like they're going to do harmful things to you and everything. But they're definitely people that do not have the same empathy for other people. Autistic people on the internet are responsible for a grotesque amount of harm. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Like that's the whole thing is like, okay, when you're arguing with when you're on the internet, when you're in an internet community, you're more likely to be participating with autistic people. Autistic people are more likely to participate in some of this really awful behavior. What do we do about that? I don't know. But I think that probably the first step is helping people identify what's going on first. 'Cause I don't think that most people realize what's going on. Like that's the thing that's so wild about it to me. Autistic people are just as susceptible to narcissism and power as everyone else. Well, so I wouldn't say narcissism, but what it is that they again, they have poor theory of mind, right? So they aren't really able to make a model of like what other people are thinking and feeling. So this is the first thing is I don't think that they realize how other people are going to react to their behavior. But that also kind of means that they have a poor theory of mind of themselves. Because you kind of have a theory of mind of yourself as well. You kind of construct a model of yourself or yourself as you want to be. Yourself as you want to be and yourself as you are, and how do I get myself there? And that's kind of another executive function that they have difficulty with, right? So they tend to lack self-awareness. That was really a long way of saying they tend to lack self-awareness. I think that a lack of self-awareness can really come off as narcissism, right? But it's not like narcissism in the clinical sense or anything like that. It's coming from a completely different... Like, narcissism is like, I've suffered some sort of wound in the past, and so I am now super obsessed about how other people perceive me. That's what and that's not what's driving their behavior. What's driving their behavior is just a complete lack of self-reflection. Well, why does it bother you that they're going to tell you they have autism and that probably explains why they have certain behavior? You feel like they're getting away with something, or I guess most people don't have the experience of having some sort of a behavior that you know is extremely harmful to yourself and continuing to do that behavior over and over and over again, despite doing absolutely everything you can to try and not get into that situation. You know, most people, the bad thing happens, you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. And then next time it happens, next time that situation comes up, your mind's eye and your mind's voice comes in and it says, hey, Seth, last time this happened, this is what resulted from that. So this time you should do this instead of this. And you stop before you do the thing, before you say the thing or whatever, and you change your behavior and you do something else, right? That doesn't happen in autistic and ADHD people. They just do the thing. And then afterwards, they regret it. And they'll do it over and over and over and over again. Like trading? Well, what happens with trading is you have a strategy that doesn't really actually work, and then when the strategy doesn't actually work and you're really having a hard time trying to keep the illusion up to yourself, that's when your subconscious starts to act out and that causes you to do crazy things. Where they are. Well, like I think the thing is that there is an implication here, right? So we're saying we're talking about horrible adults who behave horrible and who treat people horribly, excusing being horrible with being autistic. We're not talking about little fairy creatures that are socially awkward. Okay, so like, what's the implication? What do you do about it? Is there a news squawk that focuses in the Treasuries? So if you get News Squawk, formerly Ran Squawk, and when you sign up for them, there are individual packages that you can get. And one of the packages is the Treasuries. And if you subscribe to the Treasuries, some of the things that you will get is like notifications about incoming block orders, previews for the auctions and what the experts at the auctions are expecting. So yes, there is. called News Squawk. Treat people like that in kind? Okay, wait. So let's go back. Let's say that you're interacting with a child, and a child does something that you don't like. What are you gonna do about it? You're not gonna treat them the same way that you treat an adult, are you? You're going to treat them differently because you understand that their capabilities are different. We're not talking about children. We literally are talking about children, though, Uzi. Like, these are people, their mental capabilities are different from yours. Just in the same way that a child's mental capabilities is different from yours. Let's see, is my mom coming here to watch the kids? Or is that Everett? Hold on a second. Book is thicker at the highs than usual. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was kind of saying earlier, and why I had pulled up the Vista chart was I was like, was it always like this? Well, these orders stacking up here have definitely increased, but it's thicker than normal, and it really seems to me like that they were like maybe planning or were in here regardless of what the news was, possibly. So and you have a different understanding of what it being an asshole is. I mean, yeah, but like, again, what do you do when you have a mental disorder that causes you to be an asshole? What are they supposed to? Renaissance is front running, Uzi. Yeah, maybe. My algorithm got an okay trade there, but it kind of looks like it's gonna come back to the entry. Still, it's more interesting on a okay, so you know, in a large community discussion that there's going to be some people that do not have the same mental capacities as everybody else, or maybe it's not necessarily mental capacity is the wrong word to use, but right, they don't think the same way that everybody else does, and some of it can be disruptive. And what do you do about that? You just ban them from the internet? Like, honestly, probably a lot of communities would be better if you did that. But we can't do that. So I don't know if there's an answer. We just have to accept that, like, the internet's always going to be like that, I guess. And if you want to have a community on the online where it's not like that, you're just going to have to build your own and make it invite only, right? Probably not the worst idea, but also certainly not practical. Yeah. I tell you one thing, I'm I'm totally an extremist on this. I think that a lot of people will hate me for saying this, but children should not be on the internet. I should not be going into an r/politics thread and be talking to 16 and 18-year-olds, right? Like, there are certain discussions that you should have to be over 21 before you're participating in them. Like if I'm a news site, I think that you should have to be over 18, or that your age should be displayed next to your profile. That's another thing. Is like on any social media site, like the big ones like Twitter and Facebook. I think that age should be reported. People should know the age of the people they're interacting with. I think that would change so much of what goes, because I think a lot of what goes on online is actually children misbehaving and nobody realizing that they're just kids. Yeah, you have to accept that disregarding whether or not assholes on the internet are autistic is going to be standard operating procedure for people. Well, so what am I suggesting? I'm suggesting that when you realize that somebody like that is being autistic, that you should probably stop engaging with them like that, right? Certainly don't harass them, but you shouldn't harass anybody, right? I think some people have this idea that, like, well, it's okay to harass because they can handle it, but some people can't. So probably it should also just be don't harass people. Okay, it's time for me to get going. That's the beep. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I can't believe it'll be Friday tomorrow already. All right. Stay excellent, team.